What's up, guys? Today we need to make a video about the PS5 Pro because Sony, what the hell are you guys doing? This is a complete joke. You have made the gaming community so angry with what you have done here. So let's get right into it. So first of all, nobody was asking for a PS5 Pro. Nobody was asking for a mid-gen refresh for any of these consoles, okay? So they did this back in the 8th gen with the Xbox One and the PS4. And, you know, I didn't really want it back then either, but I could understand the argument. The argument was that the 8th gen consoles right out of the gate were underpowered compared to PC. So they had to make a mid-gen refresh to stay on par with PC. But, you know, the PS5 and the Series X are not in that position. They are plenty powerful enough. So we don't need a mid-gen refresh. So that was problem number one. Problem number two is this insane, ridiculous price.
Me?
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squid!
Are you ready for it? $700. That's what you've done to yourself, Sony. You put the gun in your mouth and you pulled the trigger. $700 for a game console is ridiculous. That's the reason why people go to consoles over PC is because they're more affordable. When you put it up to $700, at that point, you might as well just invest in a gaming PC. What point is there in a console when you're going to pay that much? And not to mention, Sony and Microsoft are putting all their exclusives on PC anyways. So what incentive are you giving anybody to come to your platform? It makes no sense whatsoever. Third, and probably the biggest problem, no disk drive, no stand included. You have put the PlayStation brand on stage and shot it and killed it. That's what you've done here, Sony. How could anyone want this? I mean, seriously. The PS5 was fine. The power of the PS5 and the Series X, there was nothing wrong with it. Was anyone really complaining that the games are not running well? And not to mention the fact that we got started so late in this generation because of COVID. I didn't even get my PS5 or my Series X until like January of 2022, along with most other people. So most games right now are still cross-gen, and they haven't even tapped into the full potential of the Series X and PS5. And we're about halfway through because we're about at the 4-year mark. Typical console generation nowadays is about 8 years. It used to be around 5. So why not just wait a couple more years and just release the next Xbox and the next PS6? And Microsoft, I guess, isn't even planning to do a mid-gen refresh. Last year, we had that leak come out that they were making some weird cylinder version of the Series X, and it was going to be more powerful, and it wasn't going to support physical media. That never happened. So I guess Microsoft's just not doing a mid-gen refresh, which I appreciate because we don't need it. But the most important thing here, guys, is the physical media part. If you're going to charge $700 for a game console, you need to include the disk drive. I should not have to go out and just buy a brick and then have to go out and buy every essential piece of it separately. That's bullshit. So, and physical media needs to be here, and it needs to be here to stay, because these services like Game Pass, you don't actually own your games. If it's all digital, the people who publish the game can just one day come back and say, yeah, well, we're taking back the license. You no longer have the rights to use this. And then you're SOL and you can never play it again. So there goes game preservation right out the window if physical media is gone. Psycho Dad, what is your take on this?
You know, this is just so blatantly stupid. I mean, you're paying $700 and you're getting less for more. Like you're saying, you're gonna have to buy the disc drive as an add-on, which is probably going to cost you $150. And not to mention it's $700, not including tax. So with tax, it probably comes out to $800. And really, my only takeaway about it is, oh, you get like 45% faster frames and all that. Like, who was really complaining that, oh, my games are running good? Oh, this isn't good enough. at that point, if you're going to bitch about frame rates and stuff, go buy a PC with a decent graphics card if that's what you care about. Because they're porting everything to PC anyway. And I'm thankful Xbox isn't taking this approach because honestly, the Series X is fine as is. If anything, back during the 8th gen with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, it kind of needed to happen because it did scale down the original Xbox One by I think about 40%, which was nice because the original Xbox One was ginormous for no reason. You know, what I really want them to do is, for Xbox's case, why are the external expansion packs so expensive? For a 1 terabyte Seagate SSD, it's $180, but for the 2 terabyte, it's about $280. Why is that? I want them to focus on that, not focusing on mid-gen refreshes for consoles that really haven't felt like they've been around for very long, considering they did come out around COVID time, and then getting them was a pain. But I don't think the PS5 needed a mid-gen refresh. I thought it was fine as is, and if anything, they should scale it down and, you know, make it sit flat like it has ever since the PlayStation was introduced, and not sit vertical. If I was in Sony's shoes, and then I think someone from their team came out and said, "Well, if you're going to complain about the price, just trade in your PS5 to get it." Like, no, why would I do that? There's no point in me getting the PS5 Pro for me to just get ray tracing and some better graphics, even though I can't think of anyone that's complaining about that. It's absurd. And Sony, I'm glad you're getting a lot of flack for this because you definitely deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember when the PS3 was first announced back at E306, and they announced the $600 price, and people went ballistic, and that's why the PS3 back in the day when it first came out, it was a flop at launch, and it really didn't start turning around until around 2009, 2010, you know, halfway through the generation, it started turning itself around. But those first, like, 3-4 years, that was a really, really big struggle for Sony with the PS3. And that's because they were so arrogant after the PS2 was such a big success. Now they've had a big success with the PS4, and they've had a pretty successful couple first years with the PS5. Now they're getting arrogant again. There was no reason for this. And by the way, what big titles have come out for the PS5? And not only just this year, but the entirety of its lifespan. God of War, Ragnarok, and Spider-Man 2. That's all we've gotten. Like that's all I can think of in the last 4 years that this console's been on the market. What happened to Sony being like the king of nonstop AAA exclusives, just trickling out one after another? That they're not living up to that anymore at all. That was their reputation with the PS4. That's not them anymore. They don't seem to care about exclusives. We got The Last of Us Part 1 for the second time. That's really... We got the new Playroom game. Other than that, I'm sure someone's got an answer, but the PS5 essentially has no games. So why don't you worry about the exclusives in the games, you know, the thing that we actually care about, not trying to nickel and dime us with these mid-gen refreshes, which, again, nobody was asking for. The PS5 is plenty powerful enough. Wait a couple more years, focus on the games, and then give us the PS6. That's the logical thing to do. And $700, I could maybe understand it if it was the PS6, you know, the next-gen console, and you were including the stand. Maybe you bundle in a game, and you obviously gave us a disc drive. But no, that you're not doing any of that. You're giving us just a slightly better PS5, no disc drive, which was included with the base PS5 four years ago. No stand, which was included 4 years ago with the base PS5. No bundled in games. And you're asking us to pay an additional $200 more than what we paid for at launch with the base PS5. This is absolutely ridiculous. I would rather just go outside, get in my car, run the PS5 over, and then burn the pieces until it disintegrates and bury it in the yard. Sony, I've had enough of your shit, and I truly hope you learn your lesson, because you guys have just been getting obliterated to no end on social media, and I hope it continues because you deserve it. And as for Microsoft, I hope they don't follow suit with this. And I think there's going to be a revolt in the gaming industry because people do not want these gaming services shoved down their throat. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize, oh, hey, once physical media is gone, then the monthly subscription for Game Pass is going to go up, and oh, when whatever publisher or developer decides to take the license away, oh, no more playing that game. So people are starting to wake up, and I'm happy about that because I'm big on physical media. Psycho Dad, do you have anything else to add here?
Oh yeah, and like you're talking about Game Pass, yeah. Inevitably, if physical media does completely vanish, they're going to keep upping the price of Game Pass. Oh, we're increasing it to $25 this month. Oh, we're going to add another tier, so now it's $40 a month. Eventually, they're going to get to the point where they're charging you $70 a month to use that subscription service. And I don't know, if I was in that shoes and I had to pick between paying $70 a month to play like 300 plus games or pay $70 to own my own game that I can just plug into my Xbox and play whenever I wanted, I would rather do that than pay $70 a month to use a subscription that only play a handful of games on.
Yeah, and last couple of points here, guys. I didn't even bring up the backwards compatibility. Like, if they released the PS5 Pro, gave us the disc drive, and told us that it was going to be fully backwards compatible with PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4, and they were charging $700, maybe I would consider it. But they're not even doing that. So they need to focus on the games. And Sony, this is just a layup for you. Why don't you work on Resident Evil 5, the remake? Because we're all anticipating that. And the rumors going around is that it's going to be exclusive to the PlayStation brand, which I would rather play it on Xbox. But if it's going to be exclusive, why not get started working on it? Because that's what the whole gaming community is waiting for right now, is Resident Evil 5 remake. We saw how well Resident Evil 4 remake did. So the fact that you were able to get that exclusive license for that game, that could be a game changer for this console generation. So that's what you need to be focused on. Psycho Dad, anything else?
Well, yeah, if those rumors are true, I'm definitely going to pick up a PS5 to play me some Resident Evil 5 remake.
Yep, so let us know down in the comments below what you guys think about this, and we'll see you guys all in the next video.